What is up, boys and girls? It's your boy Obi, aka 3X, and welcome to weekly upload update number 5. This one is a little late, I know. Weekend was a little hectic. Nowhere, like an RKO. So we kind of delayed it a bit. But we're back on the grind here. Got some new CAWs that I'm working on. They're not complete yet, but these babies are. These are the official XWA Championship belts for the 2017 season, and as you can tell, they've been predominantly remade. And the reason for this actually is because of the way that the logo importing works in this year's game compared to last year's game. They're a lot more opaque now against hard surfaces like metal, plastic, what have you. So they don't take to different textures too kindly. They look painted on, as a matter of fact. The championship belt release do. So keep that in mind. If you've made belts using photographs of existing belts from last year, they're not going to look right. You'll have to make them from scratch and predominantly from the assets that are featured in the game already if you want them to take a metallic finish. So I'm going to go through them real quickly here. We're going to start with the Diamond Division belts. We will start with the XWA Diamond Tag Team Championship. Take a look at it up close here. And yeah, there's definitely some similarities between this and the old World Tag Team Championship of WWE. I decided I wanted to keep things kind of thematic with the belts, so the Diamond Championships will be white with a platinum finish, and the men's title belts will be the traditional gold with the black strap. And pretty cut and dry, the design here. Basically, the diamond text was made in Photoshop using a style. You'll see that also on the Diamond Championship, and I also like the way that it came out, and I'm very happy the fact that there was very little color calibration necessary. I just used the style, imported it, slapped it on the belt, and as you can see, even from a distance, it looks as if it's actually engraved into the belt. Now the problem is that it doesn't take the metallic finish like the rest of the belt, but that is easily ignored on the fact that it matches colors pretty well, and from a distance, as you can see on the CAW model here, it looks authentic, it looks realistic, and that's what I wanted to go with. I also did the same thing with the XWA logo on the side. It's a lot more metallic than the old version XWA logo I had been using. And yeah, I may actually end up using that version of the logo in future logos for like pay-per-views and stuff like that. And next we will have a look at the XWA Pearl Championship, which retains a lot of its appearance from last year's version. As a matter of fact, this is the only belt that looks remotely close to how it looked like in 2K17, because I had already used a template for that belt, that being the old school WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Just used some extra assets to cover up the Cruiserweight part, replaced it with the white text, kind of a pearl finish, and that was pretty much it. This, of course, is being held currently by Kamiko, subject to change without notice, of course, hint hint. And yeah, it's the second tier singles title for the Diamond division, but still takes on a personality of its own. It's very distinct. It's not too big, but that was the point. You know, I wanted it to be something middle of the road as far as titles go, but still maintain a certain level of prestige to it. And I think I have successfully managed to do that with this belt. Next up is one of the big ones. This, of course, is the XWA Diamond Championship. This is the pinnacle of women's wrestling in my universe, and of course is currently held by the Hellcat, Haley Jonas. And yeah, it is completely redesigned from last year's version. If not for the fact that they actually made not one but two remade versions of women's championships in WWE that took the exact same design of the men's WWE Heavyweight Championship, I would probably have stuck with that belt template for the Diamond title, but as it stands, it's already taken. So I decided I wanted to redo it completely, and this is the result. It's still got the diamond encrusting around the logo in the center, the Diamond Champion check text, as it is that I said, was stuff that I had made in Photoshop and matches very nicely. And everything else is just pretty basic, making the belt look as extravagant as possible, which was the point originally with the Diamond Championship last year that I carried over this year. Just changed the format, just changed the look to it. And yeah, in game it looks really, really, really good. Over to the men's titles, and we will start with the XWA World Tag Team Championship. These are, of course, currently held by Katana members Tane Tua and Duke Morrow. And again, I used the basic premise of an existing or former Tag Team Championship belt, this being the old school WWE Tag Team Championship back before the brand split, as far as the center plate goes, and predominantly on the side plates as well. It's the same asset, the Atlas holding globe relief logo with the tag team wording. Not too much to say about this one. You know, it's basically really old school design, which was the theme that I was going for with the men, as opposed to having kind of a new school look for the women's championships. I wanted to revert the men's titles back to looking something classic, and I think I've kind of hit it on the head here, especially with the world title and the World Tag Team Championships. Well, actually all of them, really. I mean, they all have that kind of regal look and feel to them, in my honest opinion. Up next is the XWA Pure Championship, which takes on a new look, but has one specific old asset from last year, that being the pure text. It was straight and in the center of the plate last year, but of course I couldn't convert it over last year's version of the belt to this year because of photographs, so I had to go from scratch again. And as a result, the belt actually winds up looking better now than it did last year, if I'm to be completely honest. It's got the grapplers in the center with the wreath. Has a really, really old school style look to it, and I'm talking like Greco-Roman style. And that same trait is carried over to the side plates, where you see the side reliefs of actual grappling going on with the gold version XWA logo. And that was pretty much the premise I had with this belt, because that's the premise behind Pure Rules. It's classic old school style wrestling. You know, there's no leaving the ring involved, and it's a very, very special, unique style of wrestling that focuses on the grappling and submissions and such. And I wanted the belt to reflect that, and I think I have successfully done so. Next up is the number 2 belt, the XWA National Championship. And this one is another example of a belt that got completely overhauled from last year's game. And I'm very, very, very happy with this look. I mean, this belt is gorgeous. With all due respect to all the rest of the titles, I think I like the National Championship the most of them all because of its simplicity, but at the same time, like everything else, as far as the men's belts go, it has a very vintage, old school look to it, probably more so than any of the other belts. Specifically the text in the center, which I kind of derived from the old World Heavyweight Championship, or WCW Heavyweight Championship, aka the big gold belt, which had basically gold all over. There was no engraving or anything like that. It was just straight gold, and you had to make out the text from it being all gold. So I kind of had that sort of effect with the text there, even though it is actually engraved, but that was for the point of making it match texture-wise to the in-game reliefs. And we have successfully done so. The side plates, kind of the same idea as the Pure Championship. I wanted to have kind of a vintage look on the sides with grappling going on to represent the traditional wrestling styles that this sort of represents, even though it also represents the new school style of wrestling, because it is the second tier men's title behind the World Championship. And then you got the world plate on the end with the gold XWA logo. I mean, what can I say? This is not too extravagant, but at the same time, very, very elegant of a title here. And that right there is exactly what I was going for with all of the men's titles. It's just that I kind of like the way this one looks the most. Even though they all look good, there's just something about this one here that really, really stands out to me. And last but not least is the big boy. This is the newly redesigned XWA World Heavyweight Championship, or World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship if you want to be officially official. And yeah, it is completely redesigned from last year's game, and I am kind of disappointed on the fact that I had to completely redesign it, because I loved the way that championship belt looked like in 2K16, but unfortunately couldn't carry it over because I used a photograph of that belt and that was not looking good at all in this year's version of the game, so it got the old redesign. And I knew right from the jump when I just had to redesign the belt that I was going to go with a template resembling the Attitude Era World Heavyweight Championship from WWE, because that was my favorite version of the world title in the history of that company. And why? Because it was huge. I mean, you look at it when it was in the hands of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Triple H, and Mankind I think had it once. But yeah, it was a big belt, and I guess the reason for that was that they wanted to make it rival the size of WCW's belt. You know, big titles indicate something really, really important. So I decided I wanted to go that route with the XWA title. And then as far as the look of the belt itself, it kind of melds the look of the Attitude Era title with the Gold Eagle belt, which was the championship that they had before the Attitude Era, that was held by the likes of Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, etc. Alright, now let's get into some CAWs here. And this, of course, is the boss, the president and CEO of the Extraordinary Wrestling Association and its parent company, the Blackheart Foundation, Carmela Blackheart. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, and those of you who do, her facial base is and always has been a nude slash fetish model by the name of Bianca Beauchamp, and I will have pictures on the side of this video here to compare the looks. They of course will be safe for work pictures because most of her work is not safe for work. And the fact that I am able to just import her face into the game makes it that much easier for me, because Bianca Beauchamp has always been the physical, I guess you could say, template of the character Carmela Blackheart, even back before you were even able to import face textures into the game. We're talking like last gen, even before that. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, back when you had to do your very own morphing for all of your CAWs. I would basically sit there and try to morph the CAW's face to as close to Bianca's as possible just by sight alone. And I'm kind of torn. I kind of miss those days because it showed off the real skills of good CAW makers, but at the same time, having these features being more accessible to people is also a good thing, and it makes it easier for people to make CAWs, even though sometimes they still don't look very good in some cases. But that's the reason why you got guys like me who do the CAW University tutorials, just to give some pointers and tips and tricks to help maybe guys or girls who aren't so good at this whole creation thing a leg up to improve on their creations. So anyway, she doesn't have a second attire just yet. That will probably change because obviously she's going to be involved in a very, very specific and important storyline in my XWA show, which may involve her actually having to put some of her own work inside of the ring. As I stated, I have already developed some characters that will be taking the sibling rivalry or feud between her and her long-lost twin brother Tyson Blackheart into the Girl Fight brand or show. So there'll be some females getting it on in the name of this particular war, and one of them might very well be her. Even though I have not made a moveset for her yet, I probably will. We'll just have to see how that goes. If you guys want me to upload her incomplete just to have her on your games, then let me know in the comments below and I will go ahead and put her up. Up next is a brand spanking new CAW for the 2017 season. This gentleman goes by the name of Aggressor Sample, and as you can obviously tell, he's not a traditional wrestler, but a convert from the world of mixed martial arts slash ballet tudo fighting. And his design inspiration came from two different sources. You can obviously tell if you have ever at all followed MMA and the UFC that the basis to this character is, of course, the late great MMA legend, the monster Kevin Randleman. Obviously, the hair is a dead giveaway because Randleman was known for that blonde, close to the bone shaved look, same as types like Dennis Rodman. I actually decided I wanted to go with a different face, however, because it's just a personal preference of mine that I don't make CAWs based off of deceased people. And if somebody happens to pass away, if they were alive when I made the CAW, then I'll continue to use their face. But since this was a brand new character design and idea, I didn't want to use Randleman's face as a kind of a tribute to or paying respects to the departed. So instead I found a 3D model face that will be on the screen there and decided to use that. And that's kind of exactly the same thing that I wound up doing with Magnus von Schwartz, which is kind of coincidental considering the fact that the basis of Magnus von Schwartz, that being Baz Rutten, is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest rival that Kevin Randleman had back in the 90s era UFC when he was a heavyweight and light heavyweight champion. And for that reason, I mean, the feud kind of sells itself there that at one point in time these two are going to get it on. And I'm probably going to have him be a foil to John Payne as well, because he's got the MMA influence as well. As we take a look at his attire, obviously he's a sponsored athlete for Hitman Fight Gear. That's pretty much a dead giveaway. And I like using real logos to real companies because it gives the universe that sense of realism that they're actual, athletes, and there are real life, real world elements going on, even though this is a fictional story in a fictional world. Like, for example, Jamie Fury has an attire that's made by Adidas, sponsored athletes and stuff like that. It's a nice little subtle touch. Let's take a look at his second attire, which is a little more simplistic. It's just basically the Aggressor text logo, which is the same as his stomach tattoo, with a little Photoshop magic on it and the Hitman Fight Gear logo. Really, really subtle, clean looking second attire, nothing too extravagant. And speaking of the tattoos, going back to that, the basic premise behind the look here that you see is based off of another character from another game that incidentally was also sorta, kinda inspired by Kevin Randleman. And that guy goes by the name of Rob Python, who appeared in an SNK fighting game, a really obscure 3D game based off of mixed martial arts called Bariki 1. And a little trivia for you, there is also a character in Bariki 1 that was loosely based off of Baz Rutten, which in actuality was kinda sort of where it is that I came up with the idea for Magnus von Schwartz as a character. So there are some very, very distinct parallels going on between mixed martial arts, Bariki 1, and these characters that lends itself to some very, very specific storytelling that I can do with them that kinda writes itself when you really think about it, and that's pretty cool. And next up, we have the Spartan. This, of course, is Anastasios Legionarius, or just Legionarius for short. And yeah, I'm not even gonna go and talk about the freaking body morphing and how things are limited again, because it's a redundant topic at the present moment. I had to go with a different look on his arm tattoos because I was using, I believe, second generation Batista tattoos in his previous appearance. They have no preset tattoos anymore, so we had to go original. So the left arm is kind of a tree thing with a dragon wrapped around it. I don't know if you can see it all the way through there because of the fading. Thank you so much for that, 2K Games. And the second is some random chick in front of a minotaur caressing it. I wanted to keep the theme of medieval type mythological things going on with his tattoo layout, because that's the premise, that's the basis. You know, the front tattoo obviously is a centurion or Spartan look there. You've probably seen that design before if you've been doing Google searches on chest tattoos. Really good stuff. And the back, obviously, is based loosely off of an MMA fighter who also used the nickname Legionarius. That was always the basis to the CAWS look there. At least in terms of that tattoo. Everything else is pretty much kinda sort of original here. Of course, Mr. Legionarius is the half-brother to Angelus Aurelius. He is Greek, whereas Angelus is Italian. And their father is an old school grappler that goes by the name of Otto Marstorius, who you may actually wind up seeing at some point in time during the 2017 season. As we look at his tights, it's just basically a variation of his look from last year, except for the fact that the logos now have a metallic look. Because I learned that you can take any logos or anything and make them into smart objects in Photoshop. And then you can throw all kinds of styles on them. So you can take an actual tattoo logo or anything that's line art and turn it into some really cool looking stuff. Second attire is basically a color swap. Typical black with silver, nothing fancy, kind of boring, but Legionarius has never been a frilly kind of character. He's a no-nonsense dude, really simplistic in his design and his wrestling style, which is obviously the mixture of power and technical wrestling, and yeah, there's nothing too fancy about him, so he's really quick to make, and he's still a work in progress, like I said. I just have to do his moveset, and he will be complete. Another note, obviously, is the fact that he is a member of the group known as World's Finest, and you've already seen Union King in update number 3. He's also a member. There's also 2 other members now that will be added on. One is not made. The other you're going to see in a few seconds. Up next, we have the 2017 version of the R-Star, Robbie Silk. And as has always been the case for Mr. Silk, he is a hybrid idea character of mine that blends elements and moves and mannerisms from Edge and from John Morrison, aka Johnny Mundo. And you can pretty much tell that from the design of his attire. You got a little edge going on there with the red, white, and black R's, and then of course the Mundo-esque look on the bottom with the furred tassel boots, whatever it is you want to call them. Also got the same effect on the sides of the tights with those Macho Man tights. And yeah, really flashy, extravagant style character, and he's gonna go through a pretty dramatic change in this particular season campaign. Let's take a look at his entrance gear, which taps into a bit of Fandango, and Tyler Breeze with the fur coat there, with the John Morrison shades, signature shades. And he has that kind of rock star feel to him, which was the point. Exactly the point. So yeah, for those of you who follow Lucha Underground, then you know that Johnny Mundo has this partnership, so to speak, with Taya, aka Taya Valkyrie, and I'm gonna kind of sort of tap into that with Robbie Silk in this year's XWA season. There is a CAW that my brother makes who goes by the name of Brittany Nitro, and she is roughly based off of Taya. So it seemed pretty obvious to me that I would have to pair these two off into a tandem and have them run amok. So heel turn confirmed, and it's going to lead to some interesting stuff, because obviously I'm going to have them both come out with each other a lot, which means that you will actually see a male character on Girl Fight when Brittany Nitro is wrestling, because she will have him come out for her as a manager, and vice versa on Takedown with him. Now, who it is that I viewed them against, that I do not quite yet know, but I just know that I'm going to be doing it. So as we take a look at his second attire, it's a lot more pinkish, purplish, and these are actually design elements as far as the tights go that is used on the second attire of the Brittany Nitro CAW. And I decided I wanted to give them both a uniform look for at least one of their appearances, so that when they do come out together, they look kind of sort of like an item, which they may or may not be behind the scenes. You never know. You know, stuff like that happens. Going around the road, up and down the roads with people, you get chummy with them. That's how it works in wrestling. A lot. So yeah, and we went with the uniform look there. Kind of an off-kilter look for Robbie, actually, because for the most part I've always had him either in black or white, or sometimes a gray camo to kind of match one of Edge's attires. So this time we're going different. And we'll look at his entrance gear for the purple, which taps into a bit of Shawn Michaels on top of that. So yeah, he's like the amalgamation of every cocky wrestler or cocky superstar type wrestler. That whole Shawn Michaels element that he kind of sort of originated, that you've also seen with other guys like Edge and Morrison and old school Chris Jericho. Basically, he's all that rolled up into it. And it shows off with his wrestling style, his taunts, everything. And that I will be working on next. And like the other two before him, well, actually, like Legionarius and the next person that I show. And those will hopefully be uploaded during the week, assuming I have free time to do so. Last but not least, we have the 2017 version of Prince Hamid Aziz. And yeah, I think at long last I finally found a look for him that I am truly happy with. And that mainly goes into the fact that I found out about the smart objects and styles that I had spoken of before, because yeah, that made these logos here, which were basically taken from Google searches of Saudi calligraphy and Arab designs, and made them into something absolutely amazing. I mean, tell me these logos do not look hot. That is some good looking shit right there. You see it on the knee pads, got the name on the sides of the boots. He looks very extravagant, which was the exact point of the design of the CAW. And yeah, he's got a new face. As with a lot of the other characters that I have made from 2K16 on 2K17, I decided to go with actual face textures of real people, or realistic looking people. And in Hamid's case, his face texture is based off of a gentleman by the name of Omar Borkan Al-Ghala. He is a Saudi Arabian model, and I believe there's a story about him being deported back to his home country because he was too good looking. Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at some of these pictures here, you can probably agree that he is a good looking dude. And I saw the pictures, I was looking for good looking Arab faces, and his popped up, and I'm like, okay, I gotta find a good one for him, because this one I gotta use. And managed to get a decent looking one, used the photo mapping techniques that I showed in my CAW University tutorial on the subject, and bam, here you have it. I'm not quite sure I'm going to keep the hairstyle though. Maybe I want to give him bigger hair, maybe even longer hair, not too sure. The beard is going to stay because, you know, that's just naturally occurring there. And yeah, there's not much else to say except that he looks really good, and this is probably the best version of him that I have made. And as I alluded to, he is also going to be a brand new member of World's Finest, which I've got some very surprising changes in store for that specific faction that I will not go into detail on. Take a look at the second attire. Pretty much the same idea, just using a different style on the logos and a different side logo there. Black and red, looking really good. I mean, really good. I'm just kind of surprised at how good it all wound up popping off when I put it all together on this particular CAW. And yeah, this is the kind of design that you stick with. Like, it's a good feeling when you're toiling around with different designs and you find something that works so well that it's like, okay, that's what I'm going to be using for the foreseeable future, because why should I even try to change how this looks? There is no point whatsoever. Now let's take a quick look at his entrance gear. Pretty much it's the same idea. The logo placement is the same, it's just the logo styles are a little different. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I had to do a little bit of improvisation on the headpiece. Because for some strange reason, they took out that kind of turban headpiece. I do not know what you call it. I apologize to any of my viewers out there who might be of Arab or Muslim descent. But they don't have it in the game. So I had to improvise and make one myself. using the head wrap slash do-rag piece and primitive asset colored gold, and then put the stitching across the front and the sides of it, and from a distance it looks authentic, and that's exactly what I was going for, an authentic look. So a little bit of improvisation there that I'm kind of proud of, and you can probably take that into consideration yourself if you ever decided that you wanted to make a CAW of an Arabic descent. Got the Miz jacket on, which kind of looks like a Arab robe there. Anyway, it works out. It wound up working out. Like everything, every idea that I came up with on this CAW when I was deciding to make them wound up working so well that it's like it's perfect. This is the best that I've done for him, and yeah, that's just amazing. And as far as official uploads for the week are concerned, you get Aggressor Sample. That's it. Just one edition. Yeah, I know. Kind of slacking off. Like I said, I'm playing other games right now, so production's a little on the slow side. We've got the Dawning coming up in Destiny for the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to be grinding the hell out of that. But I will be working on a couple of things while in the process, if I'm not too busy on that. Like I said, I have Silk, Legionarius, and Hamid Aziz that I have to complete. Entrances, movesets, and so on and so forth. So once those 3 are done, they will be uploaded. I will send out a tweet to inform you guys that they will be added onto the server so you can grab them as soon as possible. Which will be a good idea for you if you are on Twitter to follow me at Thr33X Gaming, same spelling as my YouTube channel. And I give a lot of updates there as far as what it is that I'm working on, what it is that I'm putting up new videos. So it would probably be a good idea for you to check that out and follow me there if you haven't already. In the meantime, this once again is a good chance to catch up on any CAWs that you might have missed from previous uploads or previous updates. Basically anyone that you've seen on the last 4 weekly updates, and also my countdown videos before that. If you missed out on any of them, leave a comment below and make a request, and I will upload them for you to grab until I have brand new CAWs finished to add in place of those that have not been downloaded as much. Search tags, of course, are going to be 3X CAW, that's the number 3 and the letters XCAW, or XWA, and you will find everything that I have uploaded thus far, which will also include all of the XWA championship belts that I had showed you earlier. So if you want to grab those, just take a look at them, or if you want to use them in your own alternate version XWA, I don't know. They're there. Go ahead and grab them, and hope you enjoy them. And I hope you enjoyed this 5th weekly upload update. Hope it hasn't ran too long. I know I get to a lot of talking there with a lot of design cues and so on and so forth, but you guys seem to like it, so I'm gonna keep on going until you decide that you want to decide I'm talking too much. Yeah, my alarm just went off there. It's 5:30 a.m. I'm doing this early before I have to go to work. So yeah, we're gonna cut this off now. Thanks for watching, and like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the Thr33X Gaming channel for more updates like this, and also the XWA show when it is ready, and it is going to happen really, really soon. Thanks again, and until next time, this is OB aka 3X signing off.